Hello everyone, how are you doing? This is Daryl Guberman, CEO of Guberman PMC LLC, a quality consulting firm here in Connecticut. This video today is FAA, Federal Aviation Administration, opens new probe into 787 Dreamliner inspections against FAA regulator Boeing 2009 to present. Yes, Boeing and FAA regulator. And most of the news media, all of it, did not want you, the public, to know about this. Here you are sitting on a plane that they basically self-certified themselves, okay? And they were allowed to do that by the FAA. See, what the FAA did is they closed their eyes like this, they gave Boeing the authority, and that's what happens. And I was down on April 17th at the Senate subcommittee with the whistleblower Sam Sallypore, supporting him with the information that he has, the accusations that he is affirming concerning the 777, 787. Well, these two documents, proof is in the pudding that Sam is not off base. He is definitely hitting it out of the ballpark. As we see in most recent articles about the 787, how the FAA is getting all shook up because they do not want you, the public, to know that as a federal agency, they failed us. Yes, they have, because they made Boeing a federal agency. And every one of those CEOs, from Mr. Jim McCurvey to Mr. Dennis Muhlenberg and David Calhoun, are FAA administrators. Here we go. ANSI. The American National Standards Institute is a private, not-for-profit, non-governmental corporation that's been around for over 100 years that has federal agencies and corporations on board. Look who they have. They've got the Department of Justice on board, nonetheless, and they're the ones who are doing the investigation. We're going to hold the Department of Justice off to the side because you have to see this. You have ANAB that sits on ANSI, and ANSI sits on ANAB's board. You have 10 different registrars that are ANSI ANAB accredited in China that could issue an ANAB accredited certificate, quality certificate, if it is quality, as we can see with Boeing, it sure as hell not. You have the factor in 2018 that ANSI took over complete control over ANAB, and also that during the time of 2015 to 21, a communist Chinese national, and here it is, Zhao Jinwu, took over the IAF, and he is also, at the time, the chief executive of the China National Accreditation Services in Beijing, China. In 2017, there's a picture, we have it as well, that he was certifying the suspect laboratory in Wuhan, China, that released the COVID-19 virus. And here's Randy Doherty, who at the time of giving the IAF to Zhao Jinwu, who's been involved with our quality since 1994, who is also mandated to take our data through the China National Intelligence Law, Article number 7. Randy was a vice president of ANAB, chairman and principal of the 990 Tax Firm International Accreditation Forum, incorporated in Delaware. Their sister organization, ILAC, the International Laboratory Accreditation Cooperation in Australia. And ANSI and ANAB are underwriters for both the IAF and also ILAC. Here we go. It's telling you that the IAF and ILAC are sister organizations. And here he is in the article when he was a chairman, Randy, and he was talking about how the IAF and ILAC are sister organizations. To make matters more compounded is that you find out that ANSI is the founder of the International Accreditation Forum. They basically have control. No wonder why they're underwriters. The thing about it is that you have many countries. You know, when President Biden came out with all these sanctions, well, take a look at it. They go around those sanctions. One of the organizations is through APAC, the Asia Pacific Accreditation Cooperation. You can look and see the highlighted countries. Take a snapshot of it if you like. This is the way sanctions do not work. Who's on there? Russia, Iran, China, the ones that Biden signed off a sanction, they work around it. Now we come to Boeing. Boeing. Here's Boeing. The first item of business is in April of 2002, and you notice that Boeing never put their logo there. This looks like it's a covert type of document stating about special processes. You have special processes like prime, paint, non-destructive testing, heat treat, welding, etc. And it was relocated or allocated to PRI. PRI is right here. It's Performance Review Institute. And they basically say if Any aerospace certified supplier refuses to be put on the OASIS, which is the online systems for aerospace accreditation line, or refuses to set up an OASIS administrator, certification bodies are required by the IAQG, International Aerospace Quality Group, or as we say, is aerospace quality good, as we see it's not, to revoke the certificate of registration. Unbelievable. And that's in April of 2002. So basically what they did is this. Boeing said, okay, PRI, you just do it. And the company just sends us their cert, and we don't have to go look at their facility for special process, heat treat, prime, etc. Now we go to July of 2002. They're doing a big double header here. This is a supplier bulletin that Boeing put out. The supplier bulletin, yes, isn't that a tender moment? Supplier bulletin that basically said, we're going to put it down, it's send in your AS9100 certificate, which is for aerospace, as long as it's accredited by ANSI ANAB. Why? Because you'll find out that Boeing sits on their board. They sit on the board that can grant, suspend, or withdraw certification. They also call it out in the supplier portal, ANSI ANAB or international equivalent. And, and they say, send in your cert, AS9100, ANAB accredited, ANSI ANAB. Send us your parts so we don't have to come visit you for 22 years. This is the FAA relinquishing their duty as an FAA regulator to Boeing. It said Boeing's commercial airlines division to self-certify its own aircraft. For those of you in the news media, like should I say it? Yeah, Bloomberg. Those of you who don't know what self-certify is, self-certify is this. You design it, you build it, you fly it, you approve it. And that to me is unbelievable. In fact, it says the new system allows Boeing employees to perform tasks on behalf of the FAA that include oversight of testing and product standards, along with certification of aircraft technologies and new aircraft designs. They basically call out the MCAS system when they say new aircraft technologies. And where Sam Salihpour was discussing the problem with the 787 designs, it says, and new aircraft designs. One of the worst things, too, is that Boeing's inspection work is already delegated to FAA-appointed in-house company inspectors who report most of their findings to the FAA through the Boeing. When you want if they're a FAA regulator, they should report everything, right? So there could be no oversight. Well, as I said, you have Mr. James McCurvey, who brought in the 737 MAX, who's an administrator. You have Dennis Mullenberg, another administrator. You have, and then you have David Calhoun, who is another administrator. You have Boeing. Now, isn't this strange that Boeing sits right over by the DOJ on ANSI's board? Isn't that nice? On top of it, you know who else sits there? The FAA. The FAA, who made Boeing a regulator. How can one regulator watch over another regulator? There's a little bit of a discontinuity there, I would say, wouldn't it? And here we go. Boeing, sitting on ANSI's board, sits on 7 different registrars, also sit there, right over by their accreditation body, which there is no impartiality or no confidence in the integrity of quality. You can find that out by looking at their 2 certificates. This is Boeing and this is Spirit Aerospace Systems. We also have the AS9100 for them as well for Spirit. And you take a look at this. This is accredited by ANSI, ANAB, IAF. This is accredited by ANSI, ANAB, and IAF, and you see TUV, SUD, and Intertech. And as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, Intertech and TUV sitting right over by Boeing. Is there something wrong with this? Of course there is. And here is their Management Systems Accreditation Committee that has Boeing on here. You can see that down below. And it says, grant, suspends, and withdraw certification. Isn't that nice? You have the supplier portal right over here that calls out ANSI, ANAB, or international equivalent. And then you also have the factor that, yes, they have fudge documentation as they are an FAA regulator. So this video is about FAA opens new probe into 787 Dreamliner inspections against FAA regulator Boeing 2009 to present. Do you think it's going to work? They're sitting right over by the DOJ. Boeing is. By the FAA. Boeing is. There's a problem. 203-556-1493 or Daryl, DARYL, TQRS at yahoo.com. I thank you, and I do this to save your lives. No more, no less. And remember, as Confucius said, It is not the droplet of water that wears away the mighty stone, but it is its persistence. I thank you, ladies and gentlemen.